hurt you, or what happened? What event sort of catalyzed this way of thinking and you getting into this kind of research?
Society. I probably wouldn't view the things that you might view as oppression. I would view it more as how we treat children that we love.
Oh, the Incel, a mystical creature who hates women for reasons only he understands. Now, I've done a couple of videos on this group, but never a video where the guy in question is a self-proclaimed Incel, one who is open about it and somehow proud of it. Now, if you don't know what Incel means, it's like a slang shortened term for involuntary celibate, which means that these people are celibate but against their will. Basically, no one will have sex with them. And instead of blaming this on the real reasons women don't want to be with them, like their terrible personalities and their views on the world, they blame it on stuff like biology and how women are treated in society. Basically anything to take the blame off them. And today we're going to be watching this in action with the Jubilee video where an Incel answers a bunch of questions. This should be fun. Let's begin. Please subscribe.
Okay, hey, I'm Brendio. I also go by Derek. I'm an Incel, and I'm here to answer people's questions about the topic.
I can start. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
So you're an incel?
Yes.
Why would you ever sign up to do this?
I suppose I would want to give more of a positive light on this community, which is a very negative light upon it.
Well, that's probably well-deserved. Sure, there are probably some decent people who identify as an incel, but I'm gonna guess that's not the majority. It really goes beyond the whole sex thing. There's a lot of problems with that too, but anybody who blames all of their problems on other people and can't possibly look inward and say they might be the issue is just not gonna be a good person, regardless of what those problems might be.
Okay, and do you think that's a good thing?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because a lot of the boys in this community aren't bad people.
But you acknowledge that a good handful of them are, right?
Not a good handful, I would say a small handful.
Who hurt you, or what happened? What event sort of catalyzed this way of thinking and you getting into this kind of research?
Society.
My God, we really do live in a society, huh? Come on, man, that is the most stereotypical response you could have given. If you could bet on the word you thought he was gonna say, society would have such good odds that you wouldn't even make money from it.
Do you hate women?
No.
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 Do you have a female role model in your life?
A female role model?
Yeah, like a mom or an aunt or a friend?
I mean, I love my mom. I wouldn't necessarily consider her a role model, but I do love her quite a bit.
If a woman was elected as president of the United States, how would you react?
I don't know. It probably would depend on the woman. I probably wouldn't be supportive of it, honestly, but
It's stuff like this that I cannot believe these guys do not hear. You are openly saying that you do not support women in powerful positions and then wonder why no woman wants you. I mean, seriously, how stupid do you have to be to not make that connection?
Why do you say that, if you don't mind me asking?
I do think that, men should be the leaders and women should be the caregivers and the loving, supporting, and the teachers in some cases.
Since women of color, or just women in general, have been oppressed by certain systems and other oppressed communities, especially LGBTQ+, all those don't really fit with the spectrum that incels or you have been talking about. So why do you think your method of thought would help fix what we have today?
I probably wouldn't view the things that you might view as oppression. I have a feeling. I would view it more as how we treat children that we love. We control them, but we control them lovingly, not as a slave, not as we're forcing them to do things against their will. I would view it more as a loving domestic thing in the past.
Yeah, so if you weren't familiar with the incel community before this video, this is a decent segue. This is the mild stuff. This is not even near the extremists. Once again, he is saying that women used to be children that we had to care for, and the man literally used the word domesticate, yet he doesn't understand why nobody likes him.
And I would say that if we were to do it in a civilized way, maybe in a more, even a Christian way, even though I'm not really advocating for a certain religion or ideology, I would assume that women would probably be happier. And I wouldn't just assume that blindly, I would assume that based on the data that I have seen.
What data have you seen that has brought you to this conclusion? Because I'm now curious where I can get this data from.
I couldn't reference it offhand, but I believe there was a study that I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Does anybody know what this guy is saying? I mean, like, the last 30 or 45 seconds have not even been coherent thoughts. Like, they're just random thoughts. There's no, like, connecting sentences. Data for what? I don't even know what they're talking about. And I can almost promise you that that data does not exist. I mean, sure, I get not knowing the name of the study or the numbers off the top of your head, but you'd at least know what the study is about, otherwise you wouldn't be using it to try and prove your point.
What do you think it is about liberal areas that create behavior in women that you think is a problem?
Promiscuity leads to increased standards in more primitive aspects such as looks. And that typically makes it harder for some people to find a relationship, including sometimes good-looking people. Like, there's guys who are much better looking than I am who are having a really hard time finding someone in a place like LA or in London.
Has this guy ever considered the age-old saying that looks aren't everything? I mean, usually stuff like that doesn't stick around forever if there isn't a hint of truth to it. And I don't even really understand this argument. It seems quite backwards to me. If people are getting more promiscuous, wouldn't they want more partners and probably stop caring as much about looks? You'd think if somebody was gonna have like 20 or 30 partners, they wouldn't feel the need to have all of them be perfect for them. But if somebody was going to marry somebody and spend the rest of their life with them, I feel like they'd probably want them to be closer to their standards and what they want in a partner. I don't really think they'd care about all that as much if it was just some random hookup.
Was there like a pivotal moment in your life, like a straw that broke the metaphorical camel's back?
You know, it's constant years of rejection, no matter who the person was, constant years of rejection in other aspects of my life. It did kind of push me towards more, I suppose, radical beliefs, but I suppose they're only like radical, but they're more just old beliefs, really.
I don't really know what he means by this. He keeps coming back to this idea that he's a traditionalist, apparently. I mean, is he under the impression that you couldn't be rejected by a girl in the 70s or something? I mean, I don't really understand what he's talking about. I mean, unless he's just saying that he wants society to go back to a time when women didn't really have a say in anything, I don't know why he thinks if everybody was traditionalist like him, his experience would be any different.
Would you say that there's anything that other people can do to help guide or just support or anything?
You know, the lonely person in your class or the lonely person in your workplace, maybe he's an incel and he's not letting you know and he's just kind of afraid he wants someone positive. Just be nice, say hi, try and make friends with him. You don't have to date him, you don't have to whatever, just, you know, brighten up someone lonely's day, I suppose.
Okay, so don't take this as me saying that you shouldn't be nice to people, because in my head that's what it sounds like I'm saying to myself. But once again, this is kind of just this weird deflection that like other people are supposed to solve this problem for them. Why don't you talk to people in the classroom or you talk to people at work? It's a different thing if you're purposefully being shut out. I get that, and I definitely think people should make an effort to not let that happen. But if the person is just quiet and doesn't really make an effort to talk to people themselves, that's a different story.
What's one thing you wish people understood better about you?
I don't know. I guess I wish people would recognize how much effort I'm trying, I suppose. Like, you know, I'm working out typically daily. I've lost over 100 pounds. I'm out there job hunting actively. I don't think people recognize how much effort the incels in general try to put into bettering themselves. I would say, you know, people don't recognize their effort. They just assume that they're all like lazy and sad and angry at women and just giving up and things of that nature.
So I think stuff like this really highlights how detached these guys are from reality. I mean, good for you, man. You're working out and you're looking for a job and you haven't given up on life yet. That describes most of the population. You are not special for not giving up on your life. You are not special for trying to get a job. You aren't special for going to the gym. I mean, those are just not things that really deserve some sort of special recognition. Those are just things you should be doing. Well, Well, that's pretty much where the video ends. Not a whole lot is said after that. You know, part of me feels for the guy because obviously you don't just wake up one day and decide to live your life like this. I'm guessing he just never learned how to cope with certain things or deal with certain emotions, and it led to this. You know, I would never wish an unpleasant life on anybody, so, you know, hopefully he can find a way to change. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and walk on over to that subscribe button and touch it. It's free. It won't cost you anything. But for now, that's all I have for you today. Bye.
Subscribe.